This video is going to give a brief overview of a group of games or a style of games that we can refer to as sorting or finding games. These are very closely related to the matching games I talked about in the last video, but they differ in one key respect. The purpose of a matching game is to link together concepts. So if we have letter T, we want to associate it with T, we play a matching game of some kind to reinforce and build that association. If we've got more than one association, we could do the same thing. So if we have like K as a sound and we want to associate it with letter C, letter K and a CK digraph, then yeah, a matching game will do the job for us. However, sometimes we want to show, instead of linking up ideas, we want to show how something is different from something else. And this is where sorting games come in. Sorting games are very useful for when we want to establish a class of ideas. So for example, if we're trying to differentiate vowels and consonants, that's very good. If we have multiple associations as well, another reason we use sorting games is we want to reinforce links. This is where the overlap with matching games comes. We want to reinforce multiple links at the same time. It can be useful to try and sort them and discard what they are not, rather than to link them with what they are. So, well, what kind of games and activities can we use? Well, there are several. For, as I say, where there is a little bit of an overlap with matching games, one of the games I like to do is, I call it like the alter game. And this is, I use very early on, especially when I'm reinforcing vowels or reinforcing sounds. So it's very closely related to a matching game. But the aim is not necessarily to form one association. The aim is to separate into different areas. So what I would do is I'll take vowel flashcards and I will put them around the room. So they don't really have to be hidden very well, but yeah, you want to put them around the room in various different spots. So let's imagine this is my room. I'll maybe have one in one corner, another one in another corner, and then maybe one on the desk in the middle, something like that. These should all be very easily found by the students. We're not trying to hide them. It's not a we'll talk about hiding games in a moment, but the purpose here is that we have a focal point or 5 focal points or however many focal points in the room that the students can easily get to. Then I will take lots of vowel letters, multiple letters for each vowel. So I just take a few. So here I've got plenty of U's, plenty of O's, E's, I's, and so on. I will then, I would probably have the students lined up already for this. So the students have seen me place the cards around the room. They can see very clearly where they are. And then in some kind of communal area, I often like to do it on the floor underneath the board. I will throw the cards down one by one. So I end up with a mess of cards all are over the floor at a certain area. Again, if you're worried about space, you could do this at the head of the table, or head of the desk, I should say. That would work just as well. The students then have the group task of sorting all of this mess of letters and taking them to the right place. So by the end of the game, we should have a load of I's here, a load of O's here, a load of E's here, a load of U's here, and a load of A's here. It's very simple, but it's teaching them to differentiate, especially early on. Although they may be able to make a link between two different things, there's a lot of interference between those links. So for example, E and A are often confused until relatively late. So this kind of game is good for that kind of activity. We are helping the students to kind of clear out the noise from the other things that they're learning at the same time. This kind of game is good for that. Another related game that I like to do is a finding game. And I know many teachers like to use this as a warmer as well. But the idea for a finding game would be you get the students to line up, get them to turn around and face the wall, cover their eyes, something like this. And you then hide, I say hide, but they should be quite easy to find. Hide some flashcards around the room, and then there's various different games that you can do related to them finding them. So you could give them a challenge, you could give them a sound that they need to find. Okay, can you help me find k? And then they have to go and find k. Or can you find s? And they have to go and find s. Or we could have the letters up on the board and they can, like we did in the matching game almost, or the shrines game, bring the cards up to match them with the letters, or vice versa. We could hide letters around the floor and bring them up. The aim here is that they're looking and they're trying to recognize something which builds on the association building from the linking games, but they're again trying to sort through the noise to get to the thing that you want them to find. So yeah, that's one aspect of finding games or matching games. Not matching games, finding games or sorting games. The other aspect is when we want to break things into groups. And essentially what we want to have there is some kind of pile with everything mixed together, and the students need to sort it out into groups. So if we take this idea of the hide and seek kind of game again, if you do this with vowels and consonants, let's say, the students have to, when they find one, they have to bring it and put the vowels in one place, put the consonants in the other. So you can end up with two piles on either side of the table. There are variations you can do on that, but the idea would be that there's a big mess of things and then they need to sort those into 2, 3, 4, whatever different categories. There's a lot of learning that you can do from this. You won't necessarily get from a paper task. Well, you could, but for example, if we are trying to differentiate vowels and consonants, one of the things that's going to be immediately apparent is that there aren't many vowels, or there's so few of these and so many of these. That's an important thing for them to learn, and they're going to learn that much more effectively through trying to find things than they are from looking at a sentence in a book or looking at a page. Another advantage of this kind of sorting games is when we are, again, this is where it links with linking games, if we're trying to show that things have multiple associations. So if I have got one version that I'll often do is I put the cards up on the board, or on the table more likely is better, and they have to take it in turns to find one letter, and then they take it and put it onto the right card. And what will happen is if you do this and you have in sounds which have multiple letter combinations, as I mentioned earlier on, like then they will finish the board, they will finish putting all of the letters onto the sounds, but then there's still some left. So then the question comes, oh, teacher, what do I do with this? And then as a group we can say, well, where does it go? And of course they then have to put it down, and then it becomes very clear to everyone that, oh look, that one has more than one letter that's going on it. So yeah, that's a quick overview of sorting games and finding games and things like this. They have very similar to matching games in a lot of ways, but some key differences. Obviously I've just talked about two very broad ones, but hopefully you can see the kind of thing I'm talking about and can see where you can vary things and adapt them to make them fit your students and your lessons.